Welcome to Shays Spiritual Insights. As always, so glad everyone is here. And shall we begin? Uh, and Marci just asked a question about coming over. And yeah, I get it. It's kind of you've got a couple little things left to do. Um, and one's a little bigger than little, but yeah, this is a good time to come over. And, um, I know you got plans with Deborah I think for a sound shower, correct?
Right, right.
Yeah. So that's
And
gonna
it sounds like I'll be able to come to the meditation too. It sounds like that might work out. So I'm excited for that.
Oh wow, wonderful. Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get
Yeah.
if just this came from your high self, just set your intentions for what you would like for that, as you always do for the sound shower, but set them ahead of time, and things will get lined up for that sound shower for you, um, as they always do. Any session does that with anyone, um, and it certainly looks like you can use that to your highest benefit by doing so. So, thought I'd say that.
It almost felt like that's what happened today before all the energy shift that I had. I actually heard that part of it was lining up for that already.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly that happens. In any of the seminars I used to go to, or whatever they were, all of a sudden I always got the message, to kind of set the intentions of what do we want, get ready for them so that, whenever I go there, we do the meditation, whatever it is that, the maximum benefit can be, experienced. So that certainly looks like what's happening for you.
Okay, so it's looking okay to come in, and I'm just kind of leaving it open end on how long I'm there, whether I come back here or go head back over towards Hawaii and the Big Island.
I think you'll know more once you.
Like,
yeah. Go ahead.
You think I'll know more when I get there?
Mm-hmm. And after the sound shower, for sure. I think not maybe immediately after, but within a day or two, things will crystallize and solidify, and you'll have a better sense of what you should do and when you should do it.
Good.
Yeah.
That sounds good. One thing I was going to ask you was, are data points in our life the same as, what's the word for it? Like things that the soul came to do. The data points are what awakens the soul, or I guess
I'm not sure what you mean by data points.
More like things that were set up in the blueprint, set up in the original blueprint, things that are those like when you work with creator beings, can those even be changed?
I suppose well, I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to answer probably your second part first. Okay. They can dynamically and automatically evolve as we grow. So if we grow more in one area or in some other part of us that relates to what, let's say, one of the learning things that we've come to learn, that can change how we learn it. Well, a lot of people, and it's just hard to talk about in specifics because of the absolute depth and breadth of the nature of our life plan. It is just phenomenal. It would take one of the world's supercomputers to process it, and it would take it weeks to do so. Our guides can read it in a second, but doing things the way we do them here, it would have to be, that's how complex it is. So what I've generally found for people, there are events that we have set up in our lives sometimes, that there's an event that needs to happen because that event is the way in which we learn, given our stage of growth, where we are coming into this life, or in a particular lifetime. But for many of us, and for most of us, I'm going to say, the things we've come to learn are functional. How we learn it is up to us. For example, we can learn a lesson going through a relationship, or perhaps maybe because of the way our life unfolded, we do it in some other way. We do it through some learning or some class or some teaching or some other myriad of ways of doing things. So my answer to you and what I'm getting in from the divine in the universe for you is that the way you learn, if you want to call those data points from your blueprint, if that's how you're thinking about it, can evolve, and they can be functional to what is happening in your life and how you're learning. So that's as close of an answer as I can give you, because of the nature, I think, of what you're asking. But generally speaking, I think in reference to what you're actually asking, which is kind of unsaid, you are working through what you would call a data point in a different way, which is allowing it to be completed a little, I say, sooner, or it'll seem like it's being like eliminated, but the reality is you're finishing it up in a different way that's allowing you to be complete, let's just say, sooner, and you're ready to move on to other things.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Good.
that's how best way I can answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just kind of a side thing. It's really fun. I'm seeing different history, like in a conversation with someone that I'm close to, and seeing like, oh my gosh, they literally have a different memory of that thing that was so simple and clear. And it's just, and more than once I've seen it, but it's just happening more frequently. So it's really, I love that kind of stuff. I think it's so cool.
Do you know why
Just
you're
to see
seeing
that
that?
things aren't. Why am I seeing it?
Why do you see the alternate? Let's call it an alternate history, an alternate event.
Well, I know that it's like, I mean, we have unlimited possibilities, and they all exist. So it's just the different perspective, or what you want to say, timeline. Although time isn't really a thing, but it's just from a different perspective, like the new version of you seeing it a different past, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Is that how you're seeing it?
all you're seeing is just different paths that exist. And there's something that we can do. We do this in one of the seminars. I forgot which one of them we do. And it might be something I haven't done for a while. We have all these different paths, and in the one we chose, let's just say that becomes our history for us. Now, what you can do at the deep meditative levels, anyone can do this, and June used to call it changing your history. That basically is, it's true, but it's kind of a little bit different. What you do is you go in, and because you now have a learning, a higher awareness that precludes that path, that learning. Let's say that we took a path, and during that path we created what people call karma, created some events, some things that need to be worked out. You can eliminate all the energies and what is called karma associated with that by going in, looking at the path, saying, I bless it, I no longer need that, and choose the alternate path that reflects your true state of being. Now, as we grow and evolve, these things naturally happen, and all the things that we think of as our history fall away, and we realize we are this, that none of them were who we are, and that we are this illuminated being. But if we want to do it in a step fashion, you can go in and erase one path, and basically what it does is it energetically shuts that path off, and it energizes the other one as being your history, and it eliminates all the negative things from the old path and brings forth the positive things from the new path, which is a really wonderful and cool thing to be able to do. And you don't have to do anything special other than go in, if you want to use for those who have gone through the seminars, or use a screen or visualize it, see the old path, acknowledge it, bless it, say, you served your purpose. You can we use like a big red X sometimes on that, and then you let it fade, however you want to do that. See it go off in the distance, see it fade. And then you see the new path and see it illuminated and affirm that is your path, because it reflects the true nature of your being. And you can do this for various things in your life, especially traumatic things. You can go back and basically neutralize all the negative energies from that path that we chose, and affirm the positive, the higher path of our higher learning and our truer nature, and bingo, you've got it. So you're
Cool.
doing kind of you're just becoming aware of those. You're seeing them, and that's one of the things you can do with it. So I thought I'd share that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It is really cool and
Yeah, and
incredibly
then
powerful.
what was that?
I said it's very cool and incredibly powerful to do that. And because it happens at the inner level, from the universe's point of view, from the higher point of view, from the life plan point of view, that old path is gone, because there's thousands and thousands, probably more than that, tens of thousands of little paths on different parts of our lives that we never took, but we took the one. All of them from the creator's point of view are equally valid. We choose to define who we are. And that's one of the things you can do to do that. And it really does neutralize that negative energy or the negative effects of a path that we wish we didn't take or had not taken.
Yeah, the one thing that would be a little bit not so clear for me is, I know we've learned and grown from everything, and so it would be, well, which was really negative? I guess just things that you
just choose the path. Yeah, don't overthink it. Just if you know a path that you had, that let's just pick one that you had, the choices you made, you realize in retrospect now after you've grown that it wasn't the path that you needed. You can take that one, bless it, acknowledge it for it's taught you the lessons you needed to learn. You can put a red X on it if you want and see it fade.
Okay, I see one. All right.
Then you allow the new path. What I always ask is, show me the path which was my highest path to take, and inevitably sometimes it's not the one I thought it was, but it's another path, and there it is, and bingo. And just so on this note, for those who've had sessions, we've talked about this, where when you get to a certain point, when you have the energetic sessions, it can happen during sound showers, is absolutely true too. But with our spiritual quickening sessions, what happens for a lot of you is that all of a sudden connections to your alternate aspects become active. And your being here is interacting with them. And what happens as it becomes more and more active, they become synchronized, harmonized together, where all of them are operating as like one big supercomputer. What happens, and when we talk about this, eliminating one path and activating another one, that's a wonderful thing. But what happens is we get to a certain point, as we get closer and closer to illumination and enlightenment, is all of those paths become active. And we learn from all of them simultaneously, and all the blessings from them become the truth, and the negative things are not. And then we realize none of them are who we were. Our true being is beyond all of them, and they fall away. And it talks about this in the, I believe, in the Masters of the Far East and other writings. It's in Buddhist teaching and Hindu teaching as well. Anyway, I'm giving you the short version of that. And of course, other teachings will go into much more detail about how that works. But ultimately, it's a unique experience for each of us. And when that point comes, all of a sudden things fall away. But that's a little technique you can use to get yourself started. And the more you do it, the more it will happen without your having to do it. Your inner being and your higher self and your guides will work sometimes without our conscious knowing, and it'll totally neutralize one old path that's no longer true of us and activate what the higher path or the highest path that is true for us, thus eliminating the negative effects that came from having chose that path. And once we're ready for that to happen, it's true of anything. When we're ready for things to happen, they do happen. And so I think I've talked enough on that. Anyway, let me go around, because we've got so many people here. We have Pat and Lisa.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad. It's something I don't think we've talked about before. And this is a time to do it. In these accelerated times, boy, it is easier to do it now than it was in the past. So I just wanted to introduce everyone. We have Pat and Lisa and Eryn, Franny, Paula, Tonya, and of course you, Marci. And thank you so much for getting it all started. Pat, do you have anything to share? I'm going to do my usual pattern. Do you have anything to share? Any thoughts? Anything at all? About you, John? Anything at all?
I'm going to do my K and ask you to come back to me later.
Oh man, you have really adopted Kay's technique. I'm going to have to let her know you're doing that. All right. Lisa, good to see you. Love to hear from you. What's happening in your world? What's going on? Anything at all?
How's it going?
Oh, wonderful.
Let's see. It's interesting because Marci just stirred up a thing that I had forgotten about. So, because when I initially came on, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I've been really busy with just the earthly world, of course.
Yeah.
But at night, it seems like a lot's going on in my dream time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a dream, and it felt like it was a parallel reality or another pathway that I could have had, or part of me did have that. Where I had this family, I actually saw myself where I actually had a baby, and then I saw like the whole life of where she grew up. She was an adult, and then I just saw like this whole uh family around me towards the end. So it's like I got to see the whole progression in a very short period of time. And I knew that that was a parallel lifetime, or whatever you want to call that, because that was something that at one point early on in my life was important to me, to have a family. And it was just really cool to experience that, because I felt like I did it. It felt complete for me without actually having to do it, if that makes sense.
I think that's true, and I think it's, boy, you're high. Boy, I want to cry here a little bit. The high self and the divines, it's a gift to you because you did. When you said you kind of like you did it, you did. It's energetically been encoded now into your path, to give you the gift of having had those energies in this lifetime now active with you. It's kind of in background. It's not the same as it would be had you be active right now in that path. But I agree with you. That is absolutely, it's an alternate path, and it's truly a gift for you. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of these dreams that are very lucid, and I feel like I'm going into, these other realities. It's not just a processing of stuff, but it's more of like I'm going to these different places and I'm actively doing things.
That's true.
Okay.
Why do you think that is? I think you know.
Well, I'm expanding more, and I'm working more with all of my other aspects too,
Correct. And
very actively.
yeah. And you're doing it, what you're doing is what happens. We talked about, when you have these connections with all these alternate aspects, who each of those alternate aspects have their own, myriad of life plans and alternate aspects and stuff. But what you're doing is I'm going to say, in a parallel energetic fashion, synergistically accelerating all your learning. You're ready for it. You're ready to do it in a parallel fashion. And I would expect, as you're ready for more, it'll happen. And then, of course, what'll happen. It'll plateau, it'll integrate, and then you'll go to the next thing again. But yeah, I agree. That's indeed what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
incredibly powerful.
It's very active, and it's weird because at times I feel like sometimes it's hard to put words to these experiences, but it's almost like this is just this reality here is just one of those little fragments of all this stuff. So it's kind of where I guess how I'm trying to explain it is where I guess more in the beginning of my life, like this feels like this is it. this is more of the reality, even though I know and I was tapping into other things, where now it feels like the other stuff has become more solidified.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Alive, solidified, however you think of it. Yep.
And more significant, in where I feel like I'm more there than I am here. Or it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, it actually makes sense. That is an experience that I have frequently.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you like sometimes forget where you're at?
Yes. And I find myself in the other reality, and I'm there like I'm in this room, almost, not quite. I'm going to say almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, and what that does is it's encoding that all the positives, the lessons, all the things that we need, that we would have learned had gone through that, simultaneously with what we're doing now. And it integrates too, by the way, as you might expect. So that over there integrates with this over here and the next 2 or 3 other ones we're experiencing. And then it becomes, again, that word's overused, but it truly is synergistic and multiplicative. And it really propels us to the degree we're ready to move. This is what June called, this is why we call them spiritual quickening. That is where we got that term, was because as you're ready for this, it happens and things accelerate much more quickly to the degree we're ready. And that's what's happening with you.
Okay. Well, I guess so. My question, I want to talk about something else, but I don't know if I can put it into words, because I'll just try a little bit. It's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of going in and out of these other kind of spaces. And sometimes it can be just for a few seconds, but it's like there's these subtle energies that I'm tapping into, and I still don't know how to really explain what it is. It's like I feel it mostly. It's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me into something,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very subtle. And I don't know if there's anything that you could talk about that, or just anything that my guides would want me to be aware of now.
Well, they think they're pleased. They're all smiling and they're saying nothing. And when I know exactly what they're saying, they're very pleased with you're doing precisely what you need to. And just so you know, you can be there for a second, and that energy can be equivalent to having been there for years. If you're ready for it, you link to that whole stream river of energy, and it becomes active. And it does connect you with different facets and aspects of your being, of knowing, of awarenesses. That's what you're experiencing, and it goes beyond even our ability to talk about it. And that's why it's so I understand what you're saying, and I guess that's about as much as I can say. Otherwise, we just start talking words, and the words don't mean a lot. But that's what you're doing, and it looks like, boy, it's going to expand a bit, and it's going to go into some new areas, and that's all they want me to say. So I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Good areas, but it's going to be seen, this is my word for it, different, strange, in that you haven't experienced it before, yet somehow in an odd way familiar energetically, like alternate lifetime or a past lifetime from way back when, or something that happened in between lives where you're in the etheric realm, something that you would experience up there, but you're experiencing it here. It has linkages to it.
Okay, because see, I couldn't think of but it's familiar. It's always familiar.
Mm-hmm.
The energy of it and the feeling, but it's like I can't link it to anything here.
And you're not going to, well, that's not true. You'll have some things it'll link to here, but it's tying to stuff that you did in between lives that we prepared you for many lives, but this one, and what you're doing is actively linking to that.
Okay.
Becoming more, I don't want to say more whole, that's not, you're operating more synchronistically and harmoniously with the many levels and aspects of your being. Increasingly, in a way, and this is really important, I think we've talked about this before, and all guides tend to do this in high selves and in higher guidance. It's important that as we're doing this, that everything our lives remain cogent and manageable. So they're doing it in such a way that you can have these wonderful experiences without it really throwing you into a tailspin kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So
that could happen pretty easily because
yeah,
I've been feeling overwhelmed from time to time for sure.
yeah. And they push you right to the edges a couple of times because that's what's necessary for what needs to happen. But so far so good, and I think you're really ready for it. And again, I want your guides. This showed me an image of them, all of them there. They're all smiling. They're all very pleased that you're flowing with it. And this is me. They're not saying a word, but just continue doing that because that's what they want. They're very pleased.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome, and thank you for sharing that. That is so awesome. Yeah. I love to hear about that kind of thing because it's exciting, because it really it affirms and reflects the growth that we seek is happening. But I don't know about you. It always seems to happen, although the things they tell me are going to happen, they always seem to occur in a way that's slightly different than what I probably expected at the conscious level. So, just a little bit fun. It's fun. All right, Eryn, thank you so much there, Lisa. And Eryn, do you have anything to share, anything to ask, anything at all?
Sure.
Your voice is a
So-
little, at least on my end.
A little low.
Yeah, you're a little, like you're a little too far away from the microphone or something. I'm not sure.
Let me put in my earbud.
Okay.
How's that?
I guess it's a little better. Go ahead.
So let's see. I guess I've been experiencing some intensities lately. Just like releasing attachments and then just trying to then navigate like what steps I can take to you know, launch my child into adulthood.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing like my fears and belief systems and things like that about the world, and so that's been interesting. But I guess my question is, like, I talk to different people about it, of like, okay, like, because I'm asking for help. Okay, can you help me, with these different things? And everybody I talk to has a different solution. So some people tell me, you need to back way off, not do anything. Some people say, you need to provide more support. And so I'm in this place of like, everyone has their own viewpoint, and it's not really helping like me to take action steps. Or I mean, it's in a way it's helping me to release the attachments because I see when people say certain things like where my fears come up. So I guess that's good. But I guess as far as moving forward, like, how do I know what to do?
Okay, I'm going to answer that a little bit, and this is from your inner self. It's your inner self. It's not the high self. We all have many, many levels of our being, and we usually focus on our middle self, which is here, and then high self or something. So it's your inner self, kind of a non-conscious part of your being. You are indeed kind of in the middle in this little, I'm not going to call it mini phase, but this little period that you're in. And I would say true. I mean, you said you're experiencing some intensity. I'm seeing these things solidify, these attachments, and it's to get you clarity. These are old patterns, and you've been doing this for a while in phases, kind of interestingly. And these are some really solid ones that you're becoming aware of, letting them go, and you need to do that in order to have clarity with the input that you receive from other people. And the thing that I hear from other people, sometimes I hear what they have to say, then I see what resonates. And sometimes it's never completely perfect. You know, that we would all like to have 100% solution. 100%, this is the way we go, and all things get solved. And in life, it just doesn't tend to work that way. It's a mixed bag of pluses and minuses. Now, what I'm getting from your inner self and from your high self is that, yes, you are in the process of doing that. As it get to a certain point where you feel like, okay, I'm going to take action now. All of a sudden, you may find yourself having a sense of resoluteness where you're going to, and that's the word, resoluteness. Say, you know what? I am ready to take action. This isn't perfect. I've heard from these 5 people, and I like this part over here, and not this one, whatever. And you formulate something that you work, and then you do it. And I think you're getting close to that, very close, because you're definitely motivated to do this. And it's for the highest good of you as well as your child. It's just absolutely the best. And in other areas of your life. And then when something seems like it doesn't work, and this is from one of your guides as well as your high self, all of a sudden something else says, kind of modify midstream. Take elements of one thing and whatever else, you're going to end up creating kind of a potpourri solution that in time will reveal what is going to be the avenue to work and what's not. Does that make sense? It's going to have to happen. It's happening in kind of phases because you're letting go of things in pieces. And as you do, until you do, you can't have clarity in that area that you need. And that indeed is what you're doing. You're letting go of things so you can have clarity. I think fairly soon, you're going to have that sense of, I'm using the word resoluteness. All of a sudden, okay, now is the time to take action. I'm not exactly sure what to do, but I'm going to take these 3 elements and we're going to start moving forward in those areas. And then you see what blossoms, what shows up. And then as it does, one of the things a couple of your guides have said is when an opportunity presents itself and it looks, like, okay, I think this is viable, or at least let's see if it's viable, do it. Don't wait, don't contemplate it, do it. And move forward. And it will mean that there'll be stops and starts and stops and starts and things that work and things that don't. But ultimately, you're going to basically navigate your way out of the woods to the solution to this. A workable solution, not 100% solution necessarily, but a workable one. So that's kind of my long answer to your short question.
Okay. Yeah, because it's, sometimes hard for me to know how much is, the energetic, like the internal work that I need to do, and then when to take, tangible action in the physical, right? So,
And there's a little bit of muddledness about it because of you're still letting go of some stuff, but it's going to come to the point where enough of it's going to have let go. Not all of it. You're still going to have some pieces that you'll be working through as you do whatever steps you take. But when you feel that, like, okay, I'm there, I'm ready, start doing something. Pick the elements you can, start moving forward. And again, it's something, that you're going to have the stops and starts, the things that don't absolutely are dead ends or the brick walls. Okay, you move to the other one that does work, elements of pieces that you can work. And at first it may seem like it's like, this is so challenging, or this is somewhat convoluted, or whatever word you want to put to it. But as you continue on, all of a sudden things will get clearer. Some paths will become a little broader and more of a solution for you, and that will be, as that happens, it will present itself to better solutions. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be as it has been. It's going to require your concerted effort to make it happen. But I think it really feels like right now as we're talking, you're ready. You're getting really close to being, I'm there, we're doing this,
yeah.
So I guess that's about the best clarity I can give as I'm seeing the complexity of the situation, but that's how you're going to navigate out of the woods of this situation to move it on, to move it forward.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else?
I don't know. Is there anything interesting my guides want to, I've been focusing on this like so much. Is there anything like interesting that I need to know for myself?
Yes,
On
actually, there is one interesting thing that as you were asking the question, they were showing me this thing. Unbeknownst to you consciously, you're absorbing a whole lot of the energies of what they're giving you for information, as for the energies of to help guide you and to make to guide you on your path and to create awarenesses and situations. You're absorbing a whole lot more of that than you're aware. So they want you to know that. And for your two main guides, well, actually three of them, but the two main ones, they really want you to know you're doing that. And that's why when the point comes that's why it came through, that when that point comes where you're resolute and you're ready to do it, that's because you will have absorbed enough of the energy that you'll be ready to move it. And the only way these energies will crystallize and start sorting themselves out is for you to do it. It's just that navigating the boulder field, that sort of thing. Get a boulder, okay, go around it, and then you just keep moving forward.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're doing. They just showed me. They were showing me as you were asking the question, and you've always gotten the information, but you're getting it like a lot right now, far more, and for whatever reason, you're really ready and open for it to come in. So that's good.
Okay. That gives me some more oomph to keep going.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
That just gives me some more oomph, like some more motivation just to
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, and it really is a shift from before, because as we move on and grow and things, certain things that they've really solidified. I saw them before kind of nebulously with you, but they really are like almost like these. I see them as symbolically as these spherical things that are ready to be released, and as they are, that space gets filled with the light of your true nature, which allows you to see things that you could not see otherwise. And that's true of all of us, but that's what the path you're in right now. So,
Okay.
well, thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
All righty, Franny, hello there. How are you? And anything to share? Anything to ask? Is Franny there? I think we'll move on to Paula and we'll get back to Franny if she might have stepped away. Paula, hello. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks, Franny. And when I heard your name, I went ahead and ate a piece of fig. Then Jeff goes, okay, we'll go to Paula. So first, familiar. Thank you so much, Lisa, because when you brought that up about what you've been experiencing, I've had just a couple times where that feeling of familiarity just takes over. And it's like, wow, I could have stepped into that person's shoes and continued that walk and never had a blip. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because it helped me make some things solid. I'm feeling really content right now. Like I'm up on the top of the wave and just really riding along on it, in my own little merry rowboat and with no concerns. So I'm wondering if my guides have anything, because I don't have a real question. So I'm just wondering if the guides have any information or insight for me.
Yeah, actually, they showed me as you were talking. They showed me this like on this higher plane of sea of glass, and the sun shining in, and you're just really beautiful, just flowing in the beautiful boat of life on the ocean, kind of a thing. And believe it or not, you're in a odd in a good way integration period. You're just integrating a whole bunch of these finer energies, and that's something that that needs to happen for for future learning. But you're also expanding right now, kind of quietly, quiescently. I love that word, quiescently, because it means it's just so silently we can't, like a quiescent stream. You can't hear it, but yet there it is moving along, and we could miss it if we didn't take a look at it. And you're doing that. And this is many things for you. It's a gift. It's a period of just really soaking in from all the work that you've been doing. You're growing kind of in a subtle, passive way, yet when the time comes for the next phase, all of that this time you're enjoying now is going to serve you to move on to doing more things. So just enjoy the time. They're very pleased and happy. Again, what's supposed to be time for gifts? This is a gift for you too. I'm going to use that word. They didn't use that word. That's my word. But it really is a blessing to you gift. It's a blessing to you for that what you've done, and it's a natural also outcome of all the work that you've done. So it's both a blessing and a natural result of concerted effort over a period of time that you've been doing. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that it resonated beautifully, and it matches almost exactly what I had written down, feeling what I thought it was. So I appreciate that very much. Thank
Well,
you.
you're welcome. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm love to hear, wonderful things when they happen, and we all have work to do, but it's also nice when the good things are happening.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let's see if Franny's available now. Are you there, Franny? And if so, you have anything to share, anything to ask? All right, well, we'll move on. We can get back to Franny again. Tonya, how are you? And anything to share, anything to ask, anything at all? We'd love to hear from you.
Hello. Yeah, so I don't really know where to start. It seems like things have kind of been a struggle lately where just I feel like I'm on the right path, but kind of doubting, how to move forward, or feeling a little bit lost, I guess. It's kind of like the general of what's going on. But then I did also have a specific question. So I had Reiki done earlier, and two images came up when I was having Reiki done, and one was a female with long black hair or dark hair, kind of almost like Native American looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then one was kind of like the barn doors that slide open in houses, and the door was opening, and I walked into the room, and it was kind of like stone walls, almost like a basement or something like that, but the room was empty. So I was just wondering if there's like any significance to either of those.
Actually, there is, and I'm going to talk to your first part. You talk about in this part of your path. You say like you're not sure if you're on the right path. What I was shown as you were talking, it's like you're in like this. I'm thinking of a German forest, like you would see in Hansel and Gretel, kind of a story. And you're kind of in the middle of it right now, and you're walking. This is actually a relatively wide path, and it's your path, and you're going to be coming out of the woods relatively soon. I can see the light coming. But yes, you're on your path, and you're just at a point where you're working with some. And anyone else want to jump in, you can in here in just a moment here. But lesser energies, older energies, heavier energies. Almost like I'm going to call them like damp. You go into a room and it's damp energies, and you're to be aware of them so that you can they can be illuminated. And the woman you saw, I think, is you. Anybody want to jump in on that? I think it's you from another life, and it has to do with. But that basement has to do with an aspect of you, and there's things to be seen in there. They're just not being revealed yet, just so you know. It looks like an empty room, but it's not. There's when you're ready, as you can let the light in, things will be shown to you. And it's for you to be aware of them. They're things of the older patterns that you are now in the process of and very close to letting go. That's why everything seems like you're in the darker forest, the dimmer path, and why you're wondering why you're on your path. these are some of the older, we could say heavier, whatever we want to think of, but the patterns of from before, and they may have at the time served you well. I'll say they served you adequately. They allowed you to navigate life and allowed you to navigate the social environment you were in, including the tribe, as well as other lifetimes. But they no longer, because of the growth that you've had over time and over lifetimes, are no longer needing and using that set of tools. You are ready to be moving into these, and you have been, actually, you've been doing it. And this is part of that becoming aware and letting it release and blessing it as it does. So I wish I could have explained that a little bit shorter, but that I felt like I needed a more full explanation to tell you all the processes that you're in, what you saw, and that what you saw is a reflection of what is happening. And it's your inner and you could say lower levels, the old baggage and stuff things. And you, as with many of us, and I would say this spiritual group that's us plus what's here and those that aren't here, and I've mentioned this before, one of the characteristics I've become to realize over time is that all of you are on a committed spiritual path. You are an accelerated path, and it is now time for things that have been lingering to be released. And it's happening in different ways for different people, but ultimately it has the same result, which is allows us to move into our truer nature and let release that which is not our true nature. And that's what's happening. And yes, you're on your path. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to try again before I go to Pat, because Pat loves to do a K. I got to tell Kay this. She'll find it humorous. But Franny, do you have anything to share? Anything to ask? Anything at all? We'd love to hear from you.
Well, I'm grateful to be here, and I'm really enjoying the discussion. So I appreciate everybody. When you were talking about going back to change things in your past to make a different decision, I just wondered, how does that affect the other people that were part of that event that you would be rewriting, if you will?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, and I should have mentioned that. It releases them too. Because when you shift your path, because it was a part of our agreement that we'd have this interaction, when we choose it, it also shifts it for them. Now, they can still hold on to the old path, the energies of it, but it starts moving them in the direction. It's a blessing not only to us that you could say, and for those who know, I have a different viewpoint on karma, and this isn't the place to have that conversation, but that which we call karma, that can be released for us, but it also unlocks it for them, and they can choose to do what they want. If they're ready, they can let it go in the instant. But it's really a freeing and a blessing unto all those who are involved when we choose the higher path. And all we're doing is affirming that higher path represents our true nature, that which we would have done had we had the awareness that we have now. And so it just falls away. It's not really changing our path. It's just changing the energies of what we consider our active history. And so it just turns the one that was the lesser one off, and it activates and makes that path which is our higher path, the one that is true for us in reflection of it. And it eliminates all the negativity associated with the other path. Anything that was associated with it. By the way, this is a reflection of, for those who have read Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, that 6-book little compendium, and the first 4 books are the key ones, and then the 5th book starts to fade a little bit, and the 6th book was made after the fact from notes after the author's death. But anyway, one of the things it talks about, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's book 4. There comes a point in our life in learning, and we talked about this earlier, where as we become more enlightened and illuminated, we realize all the experiences of our life reflected maybe where we were, but none of them are who our true being is. And then all of those, I'm going to say metaphorically, they fall away. They are just dissolved into the light. What they called this in book 4 is, as we get further and further, all the things that we've learned and we're start becoming aware of all these different parallel paths, we integrate those into our being, and then we have no longer the need of the lesson that taught us our awareness. We don't have the need for the tool that taught us the thing that we need to know. And what happens is, what they call that is, when the master learns, the stairs fall away. That's what that means. That is what they're talking about. We no longer require the steps that got us to that point. We've integrated it all. We've gotten to the point to where, there comes that point where the critical mass is hit in a positive way, and boom, enlightenment and illumination happen. And then we take that path even further. And so, and that happens to all of us in steps and phases. And I was actually, with my guides have been hounding me to mention this last time, and I don't think I did, so I'm going to mention it this time. When we have these sessions, I love to be able to talk about them, but what I'm finding too is that has been happening to me to some degree. I'm integrating things, and when people ask me a question, I sometimes find it challenging to explain what I mean, because I've kind of lost some of the things that I had that taught me to talk about that thing. And now I'm trying to talk about it. I'm having to learn a new way to do it. So I just want to just take a moment to apologize if it's like, wow, that was an interesting conversation or explanation. But then, that's one of the things that happens to all of us in different phases. And that certainly is, I've had a little bit of that with mine. So I guess what I will say is, if you're ever asking me a question and my answer doesn't exactly, answer the question, please let me know, or we can even do it as a separate conversation, just to get clarity for you. So, but that's what they talk about in there, and that's what's happening to all of you. I'm watching this happen, and we're all at different places and things, but things are definitely accelerated. And this is the time for this to happen. And on these paths, and to get to your point, Franny, do others benefit? As we start doing more and more of these things, all the aspects of the other people that are involved with that in parallel fashion also get freed up. So they get the benefit of things that we're doing on these alternate paths, where we're affirming we're letting go of the lesser path and affirming the higher path, or whatever it is we're doing. As we become aware of those and integrate all the energies associated with it, it's also connecting with the alternate paths and the other people that we would have interacted with, and accelerating them as well. So sorry for the long explanation. Is it anything? So, do you have more?
Makes
anything?
sense. Makes sense. Well, I've had a hard time switching gears tonight, so I came in, I came right from work, and so I'm still sort of, I think I'm having a hard time landing here in the energy, and I think I have landed, which is just lovely. So I'm taking a few deep breaths and like, oh, it's really nice to be here. But the switching gears was a little bit challenging. I would just ask, is there anything that my high self or my guides want me to know at this time? Anything that will help me?
Yeah, one thing. Boy, well, actually, it's one thing that's in different parts. And I think these are things they're saying. I'm going to say these are things you already know. Affirm your heart and follow your heart in your life path. Trust your intuition to know what you need to, in your interactions with others, the things that you need to illuminate, and those things that need to remain silent, or and let that, and follow that, and be guided in the moment. And you're really good at that, Franny. I think you know that. You do. You definitely are good at it with your with your clients, but you also, boy, I think in recent times, I just became aware of this in recent times. It's hard to tell time on the inner plane. Last few months, probably longer than that. You've really opened up to allowing more of that natural flow to happen for you. It's not that you didn't have it before. It's just for whatever reason, the things in your life may have precluded that a little bit more. But you're beginning to let some of that stuff, little piece by piece, fall away, which is opening you up to the natural flow of truly, boy, it's not that you haven't before, you're even more so affirming your heart and following that path of your spiritual heart and life and love, and bringing that intuition in and letting that guide you in all things, from the mundane to the esoteric, to the more complex, you could say from the worldly to the spiritual, but in all things. And that's what they want to share. And what I'm hearing from all of them, kind of in a chorus, is that is indeed what you are doing. So just keep doing that. More so than you know. I'm going to say that, because you know how it is within our daily activity. Sometimes when we're having to operate, dealing with earthly stuff, and I go answer the phone, and this person came in, and we got to go deal with some financial thing or whatever. We get kind of caught up in that, and it makes it so we although this part of this natural aspect of us is still there, we're just kind of caught up in the moment of, like you said, settling in from work. It's kind of like, oh, okay, now I can let that go, and this is it, and that's what you're doing. And I would, that's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's plenty. That's plenty.
Yeah, that they're yes, and just, boy, I want to say something. It's a really wonderful thing. Just I was sharing what Lisa's guide said to her. Keep doing what you're doing. They didn't say that. That was definitely the energy from them, was just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep growing in that, living from that, because as time goes on, more of these things are going to fall away just naturally. It's part of you. Some of it's part of your conscious intention. Some of it's going to be part of just the natural unfoldment of things, and it's going to really allow you to do that more and more and more. Yeah, again, in all things, from the mundane, from the worldly mundane, to the spiritual esoteric of parts of your life.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's from them. Boy, again, this warm, loving energy from your high self and them. That's really wonderful. So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was having a sneeze attack earlier. I think the first time you called me, I had gotten up because I was sneezing and sneezing and sneezing. Then I started to walk around, and I went out on the porch, and my porch is filled with flowers and plants that, are going to get potted or moved down to the garden or whatever. So it's just so peaceful out there. And I think that helped me to kind of really drop in and be present. So I'm glad for the opportunity now. I'm glad I finally sort of landed, you might say. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Just so you know, you know what the sneezing is about, right?
No, I don't.
Oh man, you're letting go all these energies, energies from work and people and stuff and things, and you're letting. Yeah. What Lisa's? I just saw Lisa doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You're just, oh my goodness, you were just getting rid of that. Your body's like, I don't want this energy. Let it go. It's not part of what. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, good. I'm glad
it
it's
is
gone.
good. All right. Well, without further ado, and thank you, Franny, Pat, We're
Yeah,
ready. So
yeah,
please
right.
share.
We are ready, especially about the sneezing. I'm going to just quick start with that.
Yeah.
So, Deborah did a sound shower for John just a few days ago, and I was, of course, a part of it too. And in the evening, no, like a couple hours after that, I must have sneezed 40 times.
Yeah.
And so, and I kind of thought when it started, I really must have let go of a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can get back to that, but I want to give you John's. He asked, he said to ask you if you feel that he is on his path onward and spiritually because the healing is very slow.
I can answer that, and I'm not entirely sure. I think he's going to want to hear it, but yes, he's on his path, but there's elements of his life that need to fall away and be replaced by, I don't know, other activities and energies that are reflective of that. For many of us, as we move into a next phase, and Joseph Campbell talked about this. He said when he quit teaching, he said, boy, my whole life has been teaching and research and scholarly stuff, and what do I do now? And he said, he had to let those go and replace those with other positive, affirming things that affirmed his heart and affirmed, the nature of his life. I'm paraphrasing, of course, that he could do it. He still did some speeches and talks and he did things, but he wasn't like it was before. And these are old patterns from before. And we can talk one-on-one if he likes and things, but that's what needs to happen. That is indeed why he's part of him's holding on to it. You know how it is? We've had things that have been part of our identity for a long time, and it just, whatever reason, we're not quite ready consciously, or our low self isn't ready to let go of it yet. It feels like it is time for him, and he is in the process of doing that. Just that needs to continue to happen, and for things to fall away and be replaced with activities and energies of his higher pattern. And it can be earthly, worldly things. It doesn't have to be just purely spiritual, meditative, that kind of thing. But those are things that need to happen. And I'm not sure if that's project works that he does or what kind of things, but that seems to be, those old energies are inhibiting the energies of physical healing, because the energies are kind of blocking it a bit.
So when you say energies are blocking it and inhibiting him, are we talking about mental?
Some of them are associated with the mental body. Some are associated with the emotional. Some of the lower, we call it baggage, whatever, that low self energies. But some of them are tied to that. Because the mental, the brain up here, it likes to tie into the low self and maintain, because the subconscious's role is to maintain the status quo, the patterns that exist. And it's been happening for a while, and I think you know it, and I believe John knows it too, that he's been feeling the patterns shifting, and it's time for them to shift some more. And it's not going to take much for his just, I think, being consciously aware that he needs to do that will facilitate it happening. Have you ever had a conversation with someone? You're talking with someone, they present you with a problem, and although you talk about lots of things and a little bit about the problem, next thing you know, both of you feel better, or if it's a mutual thing, all of a sudden things just naturally clear, because what happens is our consciousness touches something that is kind of like been veiled or whatever. All of a sudden that brings the light of our higher being upon it, and it can be let go, it can be dissolved, however you want to think of it. And that's, I think, just his being aware that there's just activities and old perceptions and things that he just needs, that it's time for them to be gone. Just knowing that is going to help him release them, even without his conscious awareness. It'll just happen. And as it starts happening, I think that process will just naturally continue. And of course, it'll happen and it'll plateau for a little while and happen, but that'll help let go of some of these lower energies. It has to do with belief systems and of that sort of thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe the however much longer this healing process goes on, it's an opportunity for him, because he has to be still to be able to work with that, or allow that, let's say, allow that to happen. Would you say that?
Yeah, and the energies, just so you know, on that very point, the energies of that sound shower are still with him. He's plugged into them. It's not like they came and went. He's plugged into those sources of energies that came through this, the actual energy streams. He's plugged into it, so he's already got it there for him to do it.
Oh, that makes sense, because it was a phenomenal session that she did. I was just blown. We were both blown away.
Yeah, he got plugged into it, and he was ready to be plugged into it. Those energies, now those energies, are ready to wash away these older patterns. And some of them have to do with, deep-seatedness, feelings and we all have inhibitions about our own worth in the various areas, that kind of stuff, patterns from before, which in his connected awareness to his true self, he knows that he is this being of light, and that just letting that and being aware that these things are ready to go will help facilitate the whole process. It doesn't take for him to have to sort through anything or anything else. Just being aware of it, connecting with the energies, and letting it happen.
Thanks. That's really cool. I mean, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And that was from his high self, by the way, and his one Indian guide.
Oh.
And this other woman I haven't seen before. She's bright white, golden hair. Got this golden thing on her. I don't know who she is. Have not seen her before. Don't know who she is. Might be some aspect of your high self. It's a possibility, but anyway, yeah, he's doing it. And with John, it's always, every person is unique, and John is definitely a unique person in how things happen. It's always amazing.
He said thank you from down there, by the way.
You're welcome.
Set up in bed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I hadn't looked at the energies of the sound shower until just now when you asked that question. I'm like, wow, he plugged into not just a few, I mean, lots of them. And he's still plugged in, and looks like he's going to be for a while. So
he said, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my only question for myself is, this is what everybody else is asking too. What do my high guides have to share with me tonight? And what do they see? Or
well, I'm going to answer that two ways. The first way is your high self and your one guide, your master guide. We can have a separate conversation, because some things they just want to have, between us. But you're doing the things you're to be doing, and it looks like you've made some. Not you and probably you and John, because but it looks like you're preparing to be moving on. Leaving, as in moving on in this life. Doing moving on and doing, letting some old things go and some new things happening. And that's just, I'm going to have to speak somewhat nebulously, because they don't want me to talk about it here in the group forum. It's more of a personal thing for you. So maybe next week we can talk, because after work, I'm it depends on how work is. Sometimes work's real boring, but lately it's been a little busier. So maybe next week we can talk or something.
that sounds good. Well, and it's interesting you say that, because a friend was here a couple of days ago, and we just got on this discussion, and she does massage, and then of course I'm the Reiki master, and I told her what you had said to me months and months ago about actually it was probably almost a year ago, and I was doing all kind. It was like I came out of the woods and I was just doing all this Reiki, and I was like very elevated and all that. And you said, yeah, you'll be doing that for a little while, and then you'll be on to something else. So I shared that with her, and she said, oh, wow, I can't believe you're saying that, because she said I'm cutting back, to like not only just 2 days a week, but 2 clients. And she said, and if I don't feel like doing it, I'm not going to do it. And I said, that's exactly how I feel. I don't care if anybody calls or not. I'm ready.
Yeah, and you are, and it's because you're ready for new. It's not quite complete. It's finishing finale of that which you had to gain, grow, and learn from that, and moving into this next. I don't believe necessarily in learning. I think we become aware of things that already exist. We just aren't aware that we knew. Anyway, however you want to say it. Anyway, you're moving into that, and you've this whole wonderful thing. And for that to happen, these other things in your life, it's time for them to leave, whatever they are. They can be earthly stuff. It can be, spiritual old attitude. It can be a whole myriad of things. But again, we can talk one-on-one on that, but that's what you are in the process of doing. And these accelerated times allow for that to happen for us. All kinds of wonderful things that could have taken a whole lifetime to learn, and we can learn in the period of months and weeks, months, less than a year kind of a thing. They truly are wondrous times if we take advantage of it.
Thank you, Jeff. And I just think that this group is amazing, and it's amazing to be a part of it and learn from everyone and what they're being told and so forth. It seems it's real personal, but at the same time, it's much bigger than that.
Yeah, and by doing, I would always find so heartening, which is a positive, just a wonderfully heartening and wonderful, spiritually wonderful, that as we seek truly seek from our heart our spiritual path and grow, the learning that we do goes out in waves, it just flows out through us to benefit others. So in seeking our spiritual path, we help others follow theirs and able to realize theirs and not even know it. It can happen in ways we didn't even know we did it. And so, yeah, it is. That's what I said. This group is I don't like to say advanced spiritual path, because I believe all spiritual paths are advanced. I refer to it as the committed spiritual path, because people who are committed on their spiritual path, they do it from the heart. What is that Buddha saying? If you want to seek spirituality, enlightenment, you need to seek it as a man whose hair's on fire seeks a lake. That is a really good imagery of, and that's the type of thing I see with this group here, and then those who are not here. And so that's how we are to be. And in doing so, and I'm not trying to be, but all things truly are possible for us as we open ourselves up to make it to them to happen. And so anyway, enough said on that. But
thank you so much for being the facilitator.
Yeah, I just like it that we have, we've just come together and we can all share. And wow, what a blessing it is. I just love hearing from everyone. So thank you. Well, I don't even know what time it is. I lose track of these things. I don't have much else to share other than the one thing I did, and I shared it earlier, was I don't know if it's just a phase or I know it's an integration phase, but I'm finding myself in that position where some of the elements of my past lives and in this life that have taught me the lessons, and this happens to all of us, as I said, they talk about that in the Masters of the Far East, but it happens to all of us, that they have become integrated. And now when somebody asks a question in that area, I don't know, I don't feel like my explanations are always as focused as they could be. So I just want you to be aware of that. And so definitely, if you don't get the clarity of an answer you want, please do pursue it. Ask me again, make sure I answer the question. more fully. So anyway, let's go around real quick. I'm going to start with Tonya. Do you have anything to share before we close? Anything, last minute thoughts, any questions, anything at all?
Not really anything for me personally, but I was actually kind of wondering if you know how Brooke is doing.
Yeah, I've Brooke, and he's going through his process of his treatment, and it looks like they've got some of the, at least last I heard, he had the pain situation under control. And I have some things that his high self wants me to talk to him about, so I'm going to have to talk about him one-on-one here soon. The thing that I think I can share that I get from the universe is that he is proceeding with his treatment. And what I don't know is that if he's made the decision, what from in many levels and the inner levels, what he's going to do. So, and I think he needs to share what that is as he progresses in his path. So that's about what I can say. But the pain did get under control. He was going through, I guess, the chemo and the other things, and that's good. And I don't know more than that because that's my last update when I spoke to him a few days ago.
Thank you. And yeah, if anybody does speak with him, he's in my thoughts and prayers also.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that once he gets through some of this, and when he's just going through the normal regimen, that he can join us too, and then give us an update. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Marci, do you have anything? Any last minute thoughts, questions, anything at all?
Yeah. I love that we all have little pieces that are similar and we can really relate to each other. And on just kind of an up note, I'm really enjoying the lightness of the energies and the speed that we're going through this, and just the joy that it feels like we're bringing out in other people. I can feel that we're making a difference. So anyway, thank you everybody, and I really appreciate this group.
Oh, thank you, Marci. We appreciate you and everyone here. And we do make a difference when we come together like this. You know, they show me, the universe and the divine show me how these energies of everything we're talking about goes out and out, and those who are ready can absorb it. And that's true of all spiritual groups. And that's why things can become even more accelerated. So thank you. Franny, any last minute thoughts, questions, anything at all?
No, just thanks to you and thanks to everybody. And please pass along our greetings and love to Brooke and let him know we're thinking of him. We missed him tonight, and we look forward to the time when we can see him again.
Yes, I agree very much. And I'm going to be in the positive expectancy that will happen. So yes. All right, Lisa, anything at all? Last thoughts, questions, comments, anything you'd like to share?
I just want to say thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
Really nice to be here, and yeah, it's always wonderful to hear what's going on with everybody, and it's very expansive and informative, and yeah, I just really enjoy this group. So thanks, Jeff, for still coming to this and facilitating it. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm glad I was able to do it. You know, any one of us can do it, but we just kind of all come together now, the first Thursday of every month, and oh, what a blessing it is. Oh, I love it. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for all the things you shared too. I mean, everything that everyone shared, I always find it fascinating because it just becomes something, and it's wonderful that I hear about it. It's like, oh, wow, you know, the things that are happening in this person's path, even if they don't seem like they're the most uplifting thing that can be happening right at this moment, yet it serves us to facilitate us on our true path toward, you know, enlightenment, happiness, joy, and living in love. And so thank you. All right, Pat, you're the last here. Anything to share? Any last thoughts, questions, anything at all?
I just want to say I love you all.
All right. Well, thank you all. Blessings, light, and love to all of you. And thank you all for coming. And I look forward to seeing you next month. Blessings, light, and love. And we'll see you then.
Jeff.